It was Mother's Day when my son, David, arrived at my little house with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. He carried a bouquet, fresh and fragrant, the kind that made my old living room smell like spring. As he sat down across from me, his phone buzzed twice before he finally looked up and said softly, "Mom, can I ask you something?" I nodded, trying to read his face. "Mom," he continued after a pause, "you know the $5,000 Clara usually gives you every month. Would it be all right if I kept it this time, just for a while?" My hands froze around the cup of tea I was holding. I blinked, unsure if I had heard him right. For the past few months, I had been living off the church's food packages and the kindness of my neighbors. Clara had never brought me a single envelope or even called to ask if I needed anything. And now my son, the same boy I once carried in my arms, was asking to keep what I had never even received. I forced a smile, my heart pounding against my ribs. "Of course, son," I whispered, trying to steady my voice. "But tell me, have you and Clara been sending me that money directly?" His eyes flickered with confusion. "Of course we have, Mom," he said quickly. "I transfer it to Clara every month. She promised she'd deliver it to you in cash." The room grew still, and for a moment I could hear nothing but the ticking of the clock on the wall. I looked at his face, older now, successful, but so unaware. I shook my head slowly. "No, David," I said softly. "I haven't received a cent." His smile faltered, his expression tightening as he tried to understand what I'd just said. Outside, the sunlight slipped through the curtains, soft and golden, but in that small moment, all I could feel was a quiet ache spreading through my chest, the first crack in a truth I had yet to uncover. The next morning, I woke earlier than usual, though sleep had barely touched me. David's words circled in my head like a restless echo. "I transfer it to Clara every month." I sat by the window watching sunlight stretch across my small garden and tried to make sense of it. Clara had visited many times in the past, always dressed in fine clothes, her perfume lingering long after she left. She brought flowers, not envelopes, compliments, not care. I had thought her distant but harmless. Now I wasn't so sure. Later that afternoon, while tending lavender, I heard an expensive car pull up outside. My heart sank before I even saw her. Clara stepped out, radiant in a pale dress, heels clicking against the stone path. "Mother," she said sweetly, "David told me you asked about the money." I wiped my hands on my apron and met her gaze. "Yes," I said quietly. "He says you deliver it to me every month, and cash." She blinked once, then smiled too easily. "Oh, Mother, you must have forgotten. I drop it off all the time." Her voice was honey, her eyes glass. I held her stare. "If that's true," I said gently, "then it never reached me." For a split second, her mask slipped, just a flicker. But it was enough. "I'll check my records," she said quickly, clutching her purse. "Maybe there's been a mix-up." She turned and left before I could reply, her perfume fading like a lie in the wind. As the car disappeared down the road, I stood still, the breeze stirring my gray hair. Deep down, I already knew the truth. That night, I opened an old notebook from the kitchen drawer, wrote the date at the top, and beneath it, one quiet promise: find out where the money went. The following day, I walked to the small community bank where I had kept my savings for over 30 years. The teller, a kind young woman named Molly, greeted me with a smile that faltered when she saw the notebook trembling in my hands. "Could you please pull my recent statements?" I asked quietly. "I need to confirm something David mentioned." Molly nodded and disappeared into the back. She returned with a thin folder and laid it open between us. No deposits. Not one. The last entry was an interest credit of $1.37. I stared at the page until the numbers blurred. Then I closed the folder, thanked her, and stepped into the morning light. The sun was gentle, not harsh, but it still felt like a spotlight. No transfers, No envelopes, no mistakes, just a lie dressed in silk and perfume. I walked home slowly, the sidewalk warm beneath my shoes. Inside, the house smelled of lavender and yesterday's tea. I sat at the table, opened my notebook, and wrote a single line. June 16th. Bank confirms. Clara kept it all. I underlined it twice. For the first time in years, anger rose, not loud, not wild, but steady as a heartbeat. I closed the notebook, set my hands flat on the table, and whispered to the quiet room, "You may think I'm old, Eleanor, but I'm not finished." That night, I left the lamp off. I didn't need light to see what came next. 2 days before the bank visit, Clara came again. Her white car gleamed in the afternoon sun. I was on the porch, trimming dried lavender, when she climbed the steps with a gift basket. Cookies, candles, a bottle of wine, all tied in red ribbon. "Mother," she sang, "I brought you something special." I set the shears down. "That's kind, Clara. But tell me, did David mention the money?" Her smile flickered. "Just for a breath." "Oh, it's coming," she said, too bright. "There was a hold at the bank. You know how they are." I nodded slowly. "I do." She stayed for tea. Her cup rattled once against the saucer. When she left, the basket sat untouched on the table. I carried it to the trash, then stopped. I opened my notebook and wrote, June 10th. Clara brought gifts, said bank hold, no envelope. Hands shook. I underlined shook 2 times. Then, I closed the book and waited. The truth wasn't hiding anymore. It was walking up my porch steps in heels. The next morning, I stopped wondering and started acting. After breakfast, I walked to the library, 2 blocks past the post office, and used the public computer in the corner. No one was watching. No one needed to. I logged into my bank's website with the password David helped me set years ago. I hadn't checked in months. No deposits. Then I opened David's online banking. He'd added me as a view-only user long ago in case of emergency. There they were. $5,000 to Clara M. Price. Every first of the month. Memo. For Mom. I printed the last 6 statements. The librarian didn't ask questions. On the walk home, the pages felt heavier than lavender. That evening, I laid the printouts on the kitchen table like evidence in a trial. I opened my notebook one last time and wrote, June 15th, proof in black and white. Clara took it all. I closed the book and slid it into a drawer. No more waiting. Tomorrow David would see what I saw, and Clara would learn that some women don't need to shout. They just stop pretending. 3 mornings later, a firm knock came, steady, deliberate, not a neighbor's. I opened the door to a tall man in a charcoal suit, briefcase in hand. "Mrs. Eleanor Price?" "Yes."
"I'm Thomas Bennett, senior accountant at your son's firm. May I speak with you privately?" I led him to the kitchen. Sunlight lay across the table like a witness. He opened his briefcase and slid a sealed envelope toward me. "David asked me to bring this," he said quietly. "He's been reviewing the books." Inside, 8 bank statements. $5,000 monthly, Arrow, Clara M. Price. Memo, for Mom. No subaccount, no forgery. Just her name, plain and bold. And beneath the transfers, a second page. Corporate card charges. Neiman Marcus, $2,800. Four Seasons Maui, $6,200. First class ticket Paris, $4,100. All signed, C. Price. My breath caught. "David doesn't know yet," Bennett said. "He signed the allowance thinking it came to you. Clara handles the routing." I folded the pages with steady hands. "Will you help me show him?" I asked. He nodded once. "When you're ready, ma'am," quietly. After he left, I didn't open the notebook. I placed the envelope in the drawer beside David's old baseball glove, the one from the summer he broke Mrs. Delaney's window. Some truths don't need ink. They just need time. The days that followed were heavier, but clear. I tended the garden each morning, reread Bennett's folder each afternoon, every line a pulse of betrayal. On the third evening, I called David. "Son," I said, voice light as air, "come for dinner Sunday, just you and Clara. It's been too long." He sounded relieved. "We'll be there. What can we bring?" "Just yourselves." Sunday, I cooked as if nothing had changed. Roast chicken, mashed potatoes, apple pie. The kitchen smelled of cinnamon and waiting. At 6, their car pulled up. David walked in smiling, bouquet in hand. Clara followed, flawless, heels sharp on the wood. "Mother," she said warmly, "what a lovely surprise." I smiled. "Sit, tea's ready." We ate, laughed, let the comfort settle. Then over pie, I set the folder on the table, unopened. "David, remember when you were 8 and broke Mrs. Delaney's window?" He chuckled. "You made me mow her lawn for a month." "Because you owned what you broke." I slid the folder toward him. "Now it's time to own this." Clara's fork stopped midair. David opened it. The room went still. I didn't need to speak. The numbers did. 2 days after the dinner, I sat by the window, light pooling on the table. The phone rang. Mrs. Price, voice low. "David's reviewing the corporate card charges. He's quiet. Wants to meet with Clara tonight, alone." I closed my eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Bennett." I didn't open the notebook. I didn't need to. That afternoon, I walked to the garden and cut a single sprig of lavender. I placed it on the porch rail, the spot where Clara once stood with her gift basket. Then I went inside and waited. At dusk, David's car pulled up. He got out alone. No bouquet, no smile, just the weight of truth in his eyes. He crossed the yard slowly, like a boy returning to confess. I opened the door before he knocked. "Mom," he said, voice cracked. I stepped aside. "Come in, son. The tea's still warm." Outside, the lavender sway in the breeze. Steady, fragrant, unbroken. Sunday came with golden light. Soft, honest, unafraid. I made David's favorites, beef stew, thick with carrots and memory. The table was set for 2. No envelope, no trap. Just the white cloth, 2 plates, and the faint scent of lavender drifting in from the porch. At 7, his truck pulled up. He walked in alone. No bouquet, no smile. Just a small, worn envelope in his hand. "Mom," he said, voice low, "I found this in Clara's desk. She left it behind." He set it down. Inside, a single bank slip. $30,000. Arrow, Eleanor Price. Memo, "I'm sorry." I looked at him. He looked back, eyes red, but clear. "She's gone, for good." I nodded. We ate in silence at first. Then he spoke. I should have seen it, should have asked, should have. I reached across and touched his wrist. You're here now. The stew was warm. The light stayed golden. Outside, the lavender stood tall, roots deep, truth quiet, finally free.
The door closed behind David with a soft click. No slammed doors, no tears, no audience. Just the two of us, and the truth finally quiet. He stood in the kitchen, hands in his pockets, staring at the folder on the table. She's gone, he said. I nodded. For good? Signed the papers this morning. I poured tea. He didn't sit. I kept thinking, he said, voice low. If I'd just asked you once, really asked. You're asking now. He looked up, eyes red, heart open. I slid the folder toward him. This is yours to carry, son, not mine. He opened it, read, closed it. Then he did something I hadn't seen in years. He cried. Not loud, not dramatic, just the quiet kind that comes when a man finally sees his mother. I stood beside him, put a hand on his shoulder. The lavender needs pruning, I said. He wiped his face. I'll get the shears. Outside, the light was fading. Inside, the house breathed. Lighter, truer, finally free. The days after David's return were quiet, not empty, but full. The storm hadn't ended with a confession. It ended with absence. A week later, a plain envelope arrived. No return address, postmarked Aspen. Inside, $40,000 cashier's check. One line in Clara's handwriting. For everything I took, I'm sorry. David found it on the table when he came to mow. He read the note, didn't speak, just folded it, slipped the check into my hand, and went outside. I heard the mower start, steady,
I need you to understand
slow,
how serious this is.
deliberate.
We can't keep
I
ignoring
didn't
the
open a
facts and
notebook.
expect things to
I
improve.
didn't call a
It just
lawyer.
isn't realistic.
I walked to the porch and
I
watched him
understand
cut
why
the
you might
grass
think
in
that,
straight,
but you have
honest
to listen
lines.
to me.
When he
This is
finished,
not how
he
it
sat
happened.
beside me.
Please, you
He
have to
sent
listen
it.
to me.
He
This
said,
isn't just about the money, it's
I
about the
know.
principle of the thing.
You keeping it?
We can't let this
I
continue.
looked at the lavender. Silver now, but still fragrant. I'll give half to the church pantry, I said. The rest goes to the garden. New soil, new roots. He nodded. We drank lemonade in silence. No gavel, no judge, no tears. Just the sound of truth settling, like dust after rain, finally still. Months passed. The house settled into a silence, not empty, but full. One morning in June, a bank alert. Deposit $40,000 from C. Price. No note, no explanation. I closed the laptop. I fixed the roof, bought a heater, gave the rest to the church pantry, no name attached. David came every Saturday, mowed, drank lemonade, said little. Then one rainy night, a soft knock. He stood on the porch, wet, eyes down. Mom, he said. I opened the door wider. He stepped in. I handed him a towel. Sit, I said. He did. We drank tea. He spoke first. I filed the papers. She signed. It's over. I nodded. And the money? She sent it all. Said it was the least she could do. I looked out at the lavender, silver in the rain. Some things can't be paid back, I said. He looked at me. I know. The next week, he brought a small wooden box. Inside, his wedding ring. He set it on the table. I don't need it anymore. I closed the lid, put it in the drawer with the old baseball glove. No foundation, no speeches, no prayers spoken aloud. Just two people, a mother, a son, and a garden growing stronger in the quiet. One evening, I stood at the window. The lavender swayed. I didn't write it down. I didn't need to. Truth doesn't need ink. It just needs roots.